There are 4 words that are likely to spread fear among any traveller. They are rail replacement bus service. Welcome to Travelcaster, the travel pod that takes you there. Our brief stop in Gothenburg allowed us to taste beautiful cinnamon buns and lovely craft beers, but now we must move on. Our next journey takes us south to Copenhagen. But to do so, we've got to take a rail replacement bus service as far as Falkenberg in Sweden and then change onto the train. I've got to say, this morning has been absolutely filthy. It was pouring with rain when I left the hotel. Fortunately, the train station was, well, next to the hotel. But the replacement bus, if you are coming this way, and this does happen, is across the road. It's about a 10-minute walk from the central station to a bus station that isn't the main bus station, so bear that in mind. Anyway, we're on the move now, and we should be in Falkenberg in about 10 minutes to change onto our train southwards to Copenhagen. Well, that was all enormous fun. We got to Falkenberg station on time, the train was waiting for us, and all of the passengers descended from the bus down a muddy embankment towards the railway station itself. Only one passenger managed to fall over and got himself caked in mud. Guess which one? Yes, that was me. Now I look like I played rugby in my jeans and backpack. Everything is filthy, and I'm in first class. Four hours after we left Gothenburg, and a little less muddy than I was before, here we are at Copenhagen Central Station. Now, the service we've just used is the Øresundstog. This is a collection of trains that cross between Denmark and Sweden using the famous bridge of the same name at Malmö. You go across it at a reasonable speed, and it's a terrific view. It really is an iconic location to welcome you to Denmark. And so it is we make our way to the Profile Hotel on the Copenhagen Plaza, just across the road from the railway station. Very convenient indeed. The kettle is boiling in the background. I have to say this hotel has an air of faded glory about it. It's a Victorian building by the looks of things that was probably last done up in the 1980s. And it's got that kind of whiff about it. Not a smell, a whiff. But here... That's the wardrobe, by the way. Over here, though, we have something interesting. For exercising only, it says, on this section of the room. And there are 4 dumbbells. 2 4-kilogram ones and a couple of 2-kilogram ones. So you can have your workout in your room without having to embarrass yourself at the gym. Right, cup of tea first, I think. Now, one of the first things that you're going to see when you walk out of Copenhagen main station is Tivoli Gardens. Opened in 1843, it is the world's second oldest theme park. Loads of amusements, restaurants, and much more to see there. It can be quite expensive, though, to get around, so we're not going to concentrate on Tivoli for now. We're going to head across town to something a little bit more relaxing. Now, if you wish, you can opt for one of those red sightseeing buses and pay a small fortune. But here in Copenhagen, I've just got myself a day ticket for €10. I've taken the number 26 bus. It went from just around the corner from the central station. Took me right past the Danish Parliament, along many of the canals and waterways associated with Copenhagen, and here to Nyhavn. It is a world-famous location in terms of sightseeing. It is a 17th century waterway with loads of old historic wooden boats along the waterway itself, and lining it are the most pretty colours of buildings all around, many of them housing tourist attractions, cafes, bars. And on the Sunday afternoon in April that we're recording this, the sunshine has finally come out. It's a balmy 16 degrees. It's a big improvement of what we had in Oslo and Bergen, and it seems that the world and his dog has come out to play. Now, time for another Travelcaster tip, and it's something we've talked about before: flexibility. I've come to Copenhagen originally with the idea of staying for just one night, but after a couple of mishaps with a muddy bank and all that kind of thing, I decided to stay for a second night. Now, with the rail pass, that's really easy. All I had to do was cancel my travel day for tomorrow, Monday, and change it to Tuesday. Just a couple of clicks on the app, and that was that. And when it came to the hotel, my tip, as before, is to always book with the most flexible rate you can. It may seem like a higher rate than the one you'd normally pay, but that flexibility means that if your plans change, you can get a full refund and you won't miss out. And the refund I've got on tomorrow night's hotel has paid for the extra night in the hotel I'm staying at in Copenhagen. It all makes sense. Now, if you are eating here at Nyhavn, you'll see there's loads of choice, but on closer inspection there actually isn't. Most of the menus at all of the bars and restaurants are pretty much the same, serving the same dishes at exactly the same prices. No sign of anyone trying to undercut anyone else. It's a bit of a tourist monopoly. As you come to the top of Nyhavn, you may feel that you're in France rather than in Denmark. Accordion music is playing. Crepes are being made on the side, and just across the road past a memorial anchor, I said anchor, is the French embassy. The top end of the harbour is also where you'll find the sightseeing boats if you'd like to take a ride along the canals. A combined ticket including a tour and entrance to Tivoli Gardens will cost around €35. Now look, we've seen some brilliant architecture on our tour of the Baltics and Scandinavia, but here in Copenhagen I think is the best vista of all. The King's New Square, Kongens Nytorv, is an amazing plaza. It's sort of circular. In the middle of it is a statue of King Christian V on horseback, who laid out this whole area in the 17th century. And this was always a place where the toffs went, where the rich and famous went. There's the Hotel Angleterre behind me. There's the Royal Theatre in front of me. There's the French Embassy that we mentioned before. And everywhere that you turn in a circular fashion from the New King's Square, you see a different sort of building and a different kind of architecture. It's really stunning. Take a stroll down Strojet, Europe's longest shopping streets. Take a left at Mama Rosa's Italian restaurant. And just around the corner you'll find yourself here at Toga Vinstu. Yes, the music is loud. The beer is good. And there's a smell of smoke in the air, because this is one of a few pubs in Copenhagen where you can smoke indoors. This bar dates back over 100 years and is popular with politicians, many of whom have pictures on the wall. It's also got a fairly noisy crowd on a Sunday evening. Love it. Now, if you like railways, and you're probably listening to this podcast because you do, how about this? The Jernbanen Café, the railroad cafe right next to the central station in Copenhagen. It is chock full of memorabilia, and hanging from the walls are pictures of just about everybody who's visited this cafe over the years. It's an incredible sight, really, and a lot of the lights that hang from the ceiling have model railways, model trains hanging from them. There's loads of other model trains in a massive display case at the back of the cafe, and yes, a model railway that goes all the way around. The only thing it doesn't do is deliver your beer, which I think they're missing a trick. You're listening to Travelcaster, where we're continuing our journey across the Baltics and Scandinavia. And today we are in the capital of Denmark, Copenhagen. To find out where we've been, how to get here, and what to do when you do, head to travelcaster.blog. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening. Now, if you're taking a lengthy trip, sooner or later, you're going to have to think about cleanliness. There's no way that you can carry enough clothes to last 3 weeks. So this morning in Copenhagen, the first port of call will be to a local laundrette. Now, I've taken one stop south to Dibbelsbro, which sounds like a great name, and it's a fantastic neighbourhood, actually. Loads of bicycles, lots of dog walkers, people on their way to work. And hopefully, just around this corner, somewhere to get my undies clean. I've also spotted a couple of nice looking coffee shops as well, which will be a great place to hang out whilst the washing's being done. Well, the laundry process was quite easy. Automated machines, credit cards taken. It took about an hour to wash and dry, and now I smell less like a tourist and more like a normal person. And this little detour to the laundrette has allowed me to see one of the neighbourhoods of Copenhagen that you wouldn't normally do as a visitor. Just by the train station here, there are two enormous apartment blocks, and they're shaped like the old Kaplunk game. Do you remember that? Imagine a giant game of Kaplunk in the middle of the street with loads of apartments in. Great way to see the city. Now suitably freshened up, it's off to see one of Copenhagen's most iconic sites. It's not the biggest in the world, but it's a must-see if you are here. What you need to do is take any train to Osterport station. It's 2 stops away from the main station. Quite a busy road area as you come out, but you don't need to go across the road. Just turn left as you exit the station and head towards the greenery before you, where there's loads to discover. Now, when you come to that greenery, you will end up walking around a moat. This is Kastellet, a 17th century fortress, one of the best preserved in Northern Europe. It is, in fact, still a working military facility. As you walk through the gates, there are guards on duty, and there are basically barracks, houses, offices, facilities still used by the Danish military today. And in the middle of it, a parade ground, most likely still used by soldiers today. Now, at the end of the parade ground was a nondescript looking yellow washed building. Turns out it's the church within the fortress, dating back to 1704. It's underwent some significant restoration in the 1980s and now looks rather beautiful. It's a bit of a simple affair, built in the Baroque style, says the guide that comes with the church. But an interesting feature is that next door there's a jail connected to the church, and in the nave there were listening holes so that prisoners could take part in services. Now, I'm not going to say it, but some might think it's a case of jailhouse baroque. Now, when you come out of the Kastellet, turn right and walk for about 10 minutes. Follow all the tourists, the smell of the coffee, the sights of the ice cream, and you will come here to the Little Mermaid statue. It's the lady we've been waiting to meet all day, and she stands or sits on top of a rock just out to sea by the side of the harbour here. The mermaid statue was erected in 1913, and it was a gift to the city of Copenhagen by the brewer Carl Jacobsen, who'd been inspired by Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tale. It's a long way to come for a little statue, I have to say, but there is ice cream. Another Travelcaster tip now, this time about money. If you're travelling in the Nordic countries, it's worth noting that many of them don't use the euro. Sweden, Norway and Denmark have their own crowns, the krona, and they come in at different exchange rates. So it's worth downloading a simple app on your phone so you can do calculations along the way. The good news is that almost every place that we've visited on this journey so far accepts cards. And if you get a credit card that doesn't have transaction fees, that's going to save you a bit of money. And a repeat of a tip that we always give you on Travelcaster: if you're asked to pay in a certain currency, always pay in the local rather than your home currency. Particularly in Europe, you'll get the interbank rate rather than whichever rate your own bank wants to charge you. Our visit to Copenhagen is just about over. We have dined in an ancient port, found an ancient fortress, and seen a mythical creature of the sea, all in just over 24 hours. But now we must move on to what will be the final part of our journey across the Baltics and Scandinavia and back into Western Europe. To find out more about where we've been and what to do when we got here, check out travelcaster.blog. and subscribe to the podcast on this platform. And join us again soon for another edition of Travelcaster, the travel pod that takes you there.